request the photographers to please sit down and not disturb the channels and the reporters also. When you're asking the questions, I request you to please introduce yourself and your organization. Thank you. Sir.
So thank you. Thank you to Monidippa. I will, first of all, let me thank all of you for coming for this interaction. I will make a very detailed presentation and I have all the time in the world. So don't rush up. After which I will respond to all your queries. The reason why I'm going to spend time is because this is the first detailed briefing we are giving on G20 to the media in Mumbai. I'd like to introduce my colleague, Mr. Nagaraj Naidu, who was our ambassador in the Permanent High Commission in United Nations, and Inam Gambhir, who's Joint Secretary. Mr. Naidu also looks after G20, and Inam also looks after G20. And Mr. Shrijan is he's also from the Foreign Service. He looks after external publicity. So just be patient. I'll quickly take you through a presentation and then you can ask me anything you feel like. So I'm doing this because I want to explain everything to you in details. Yeah. So ladies and gentlemen, actually G20 is actually the most powerful forum. It is powerful because it comprises of both the developed and the developing world. It comprises of more than 85% of the global GDP. It accounts for almost 75% of the global trade. It accounts for almost 90% of the global patents in the world, and accounts for almost more than 60% of the global population. It is powerful because it is not unwieldy like the United Nations, which has 186 countries, very difficult to arrive at a consensus. G7 is a very elitist body, but here both developed and developing countries are represented in G20. Now G20 has had a very major impact in the past on global economic, financial issues, on geopolitics. In 2008, when there was a major global economic crisis, in the London G20 summit, there was coordinated action and a very big package was announced by G20. You've had Basel III norms for banks emerging from G20. You've had the recapitalization of the International Monetary Fund. And on the initiative of our Prime Minister during the Saudi Arabian presidency, there was a sustainable debt package which was given out to the developing countries. So very many big things in the world have happened because of G20. When G20 takes place in India, the Leadership Summit on 9th and 10th of September, this will be the biggest ever gathering of leaders in India. There will be 43 leaders. In addition to G20, there are 9 special invitees. And there are a vast range of international organizations from UN to OECD to WHO, WTO. All of them will be represented. Now, this will be the biggest event held in India because we've had Chogam, we've had NAM in the past, but they were events for 2 to 3 days in Delhi. This is the first time that you will have G20, which will be spread through the year from 1st December to the 1st of December through the year. And it's biggest because you will be hosting this in almost every state and every union territory of India. So every state, every union territory, there's a huge, huge opportunity to transform these states, and we are trying to do that. Now, India will assume G20 presidency when there's a global turmoil. There is a major challenge because there is a climate crisis, there are slow sustainable development goal implementation which have to be implemented by 2030. So you've had 20 crore people, that's 200 million people have had job losses, 10 crore people have been pushed into extreme poverty, there's disruption of global supply chain, there's sustainable development goals instead of progressing have regressed, there's been a COVID crisis, 70 countries in the world are facing a debt crisis. There is a geopolitical crisis in Europe because of Russia and Ukraine, and there's a food and energy crisis. Now, a good G20 presidency requires three things. One is that there has to be a political drive and a political narrative because it's a leaders' summit. All the leaders are there. So the political drive and the political narrative has to be there. Secondly, there has to be very good content. That is, what are the issues on which we want to arrive at an agreement? And what are India's priorities, which we'll talk about? And thirdly, how do we do this? Administrative logistics, how do we host it? Like we are hosting it in Mumbai, to what level of perfection we do it, what will be the logistics, etc. So all these three, our aim is that in all these three we do an excellent job, and these are the three pillars of a good presidency which we will do. Now the Prime Minister has already set the narrative for our presidency. The Prime Minister has said that the greatest challenges we face today can only be solved by working together. Our first concern should be towards those whose need is greatest. That means citizens, countries whose need is the greatest, because G20 is a global body. India's G20 will seek to advocate the oneness of all. Oneness of all means that we are all, India's taken G20 presidency to a philosophically very high level by talking about its basic theme is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that is from our ancient civilization, that we are one family. The whole earth is one family, and one earth, one family, one future. That we all come from one cosmos. There may be different political systems, there may be different economic thought processes, but there may be unity in diversity. We are all part of one cosmos. And therefore, our priorities reflect not just the aspirations of G20 partners, but also of Global South, whose voice is often unheard. So this is what the Prime Minister said. And he set the political narrative. And despite a challenging scenario, India has emerged as a global hotspot. We are the fastest growing large economy. We have sound macroeconomic fundamentals. We have a robust public finances. We have strong manufacturing and export growth. We are the top FDI destination. We are a leader in climate change. All this is the developmental agenda. That is the political narrative that we are putting out. Our bold and ambitious reforms are driving our economic development. We are the fastest growing large economy. We are the #1 smartphone data consumer. We are the #1 global fintech adopter. We are #2 in a range of things. We've been able to create the third best ecosystem. We are the largest energy consumer. We are #3 as an economy by PPP in purchasing power parity. And we are poised towards becoming a high income country by 2047. Now, when India takes over presidency, this is the first time that we will be in the world, for the first time, that we will be setting the agenda. So far, agenda was being set by the developed world and we were responding to that agenda. We were giving our comments to those agendas. This is the first time that the agenda has been set by India. And the agenda, when we set the agenda, at this point of time, we've done a lot of developmental work. We've opened about 40 crore new bank accounts since 2015, which is equivalent to the entire population of USA and twice that of Russia. In digital payment, we've done about 4,860 crore transactions, which is 3x of China, 7x greater than the combined digital payments of US, Canada, UK, France, and Germany. We've distributed 36.7 crore LED bulbs, which is equivalent to giving LED bulb to every single citizen of USA. We've given over 3 crores affordable houses, which is equivalent to every single citizen of Australia with a new home. We have provided 10.9 crore toilets, which is like giving everyone in Germany a toilet, everyone a toilet in Germany. And we've provided 24.3 crore people access to clean drinking water, which is equivalent to providing every single citizen in Brazil with clean drinking water. We've also, in the last 7-8 years, we've built 55,000 kilometers of highways, which is like building road across 1.5 rounds of the entire earth. And we've provided 2 billion COVID-19 vaccine doses, which is 6 times the population of USA and 5 times the population of Europe, and 2.5 times the population of EU and USA combined. We've also enrolled 50 crore people in the form of Ayushman Bharat, which is more citizens covered than the entire population of the European Union. I'm saying this because this developmental agenda is very critical. That is the political narrative which will come in when you become a leader. Now, G20 is actually a whole of government approach. There is a finance minister and a central bank governor's track. The first meeting of the finance deputies and the deputy governors of the Reserve Bank is being held in Bangalore. Today, there are 8 work streams there. There is a Sherpa track which has 13 working groups. There is the foreign ministers meeting, and there are 11 engagement groups, and there is an Empower initiative. So all these combined together, there are about 215 events, 215 different meetings in about 56 cities of India. 215 meetings in 56 cities of India. So just to give you a perspective, the meetings are being held in every state and every union territory. There's not a single state or a union territory we are leaving. We are covering the entire state and union territory of India. And this is taking G20 to showcase India across every state and every union territory of India. There are various ministerial meetings which will be held in different places. We've shown you how the ministerial meetings will be held. Now the Sherpa, there is a Sherpa track, which is, Sherpa acts like the envoy of the leaders, and therefore there is a Sherpa track where different issues come up, different ministries are working. These are the different Sherpa tracks, and different ministries are involved. Almost every ministry of the government of India is involved in this process. So you have the working groups of Sherpa track, then you have the finance track working groups, which are headed by different countries, and these are the different finance tracks, which will show you that the finance track, the Sherpa track, and these are the different engagement groups. So there's a business 20, there's a civil 20, there's a labor 20. All these, many meetings of these will be held in different parts of the country. Urban 20, women 20, youth 20. So youth is mobilized, women is mobilized, science is mobilized, startups are. So India's, for the first time, created a new group. The new group created by India is the Startup 20. The Startup 20 group has been created because India today has more than 80,000 startups. They are accelerating the growth of India. When we started the Startup India movement, there was just about 116 startups. Today, we have over 106 unicorns. We are creating 4 unicorns a month. And therefore, we are the tech garage of the world, and therefore, we are giving a big thrust to startups in India. Now, this is an opportunity a huge opportunity to create a win-win collaboration between developing countries, global south, advanced countries. And while we are building approaches to benefit the world on key global issues, and we are shaping an inclusive future, we are also trying to share India's experiences. A lot of Indian experiences which we'll share. Now, many of you ask, what are India's priorities? Our priorities are, one, that India has put up a very big technological transformation infrastructure, that is the digital public infrastructure. So, whether the world can learn from India's experiences on digital public infrastructure. The second priority is women-led development. How do we undertake, if today in India there are more women than men, the latest data, NFHS data shows that there are more women than men, so women-led development. And then, most of these institutions, the World Bank, the IMF, all were created in the post-World War II Bretton Woods period. They are not designed for SDGs or for climate change. Then how do you create multilateral institutions for the 21st centuries? And there's a challenge in today's world on food, fuel, and fertilizer. So how do we bring food, fuel, and fertilizer? How do you solve these challenges for the world? If we are not able to provide fertilizer, tomorrow food will not be provided. And then accelerating progress on sustainable development goals, particularly health and education. And then the Prime Minister has spoken at length about lifestyle for environment, green development, climate finance. And today's world, the growth has slowed down. So how do we accelerate inclusive and resilient growth? How do we accelerate growth is the other issue. So these are our priorities. Now, we've talked about digital transformation because India's model is unique. We've been able to provide digital identity to everyone. We've been able to provide bank accounts. We've been able to do fast payments. 400 crore people in the world do not have a digital identity. 200 crore people remain unbanked. 130 countries have no digital payment system. This is the reality of the world. And the Bank of International Settlement has said that India has made, by providing digital identity, which all of you have, the Aadhaar, the bank accounts that we all have, and the fast payments that we undertake through our mobile, it says that India has made 50 years worth of progress in 1 decade, 50 years. That is the technological level jumping India has done. So, India's digital public infrastructure has enabled 50 times more direct transfer of benefit. We were doing 10,000 crore in 2013. Today we are doing 5.5 lakh crore. It has helped 47 crore people during the initial phase of COVID-19. We put money straight into the bank accounts. There's no leakage. And this is a unique model which India has built up, from which the world can learn. The digital transformation of India has been huge and immense. So our model is very different from the big tech model of USA. We have created digital public infrastructure on which private sector competes. So UPI, on top of which PhonePe, Google Pay, WhatsApp, Paytm all compete. We've done the Jam Trinity, we built UPI, we built Bharat Pay, we did CoWIN for vaccination. We've done FASTag, we've done Diksha and Swayam, we've done CoWIN, we've done digital health, Bharat Pay, many things. The other Indian narrative which we'll take during G20 will be the narrative of what we've done in our health architecture, how we created an inclusive and scalable model globally through health insurance, Ayushman Bharat, through COVID vaccine, through CoWIN, and how we are the pharmacy of the world, and how we are the vaccine capital of the world altogether, and how we've also converged and integrated Ayurveda and yoga. The other thing we'll do is to showcase the power of women-led development. When we started Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, only 19% of the accounts were owned by women. Today, 56% of the accounts are owned by women. 23 crore unbanked women now have bank accounts. So this is a big achievement. We will also showcase several things, like I'll just give you an example that our objective is to create a unique experience of India. We had taken all our ambassadors to Andaman. We took them to the cellular jail. We did yoga session. We did beach cleaning. All ambassadors blew the Shankhnad, which you can see here. And recently, we did the first Sherpa meeting in Udaipur. This is a similar example we are trying to create in Mumbai, where we demonstrated India's unique culture. We did very good branding. But what Udaipur did was to clean up Fatehpur Lake. It cleaned up its road. It cleaned up the pavements. It did branding. And I want to compliment the Maharashtra government and the municipal commissioner and the municipality of Mumbai municipality for having used this opportunity to brand Mumbai fully and to clean up Mumbai. A lot of excellent work has been done here, and this is a lot of pavement cleaning and wall art has been done. So this is what we did in Udaipur. We had beautifully lit up Kumbhalgarh Fort. I believe a lot of lighting has been done in Mumbai also. We showed the culture of Udaipur. We showed all the local handicrafts. So basically, we are also promoting millets because 2023 is the year of millets. We had excellent meetings there. And this is really a huge opportunity for collaboration of states, because this is an opportunity to transform the city infrastructure. G20, many meetings will be held in Maharashtra. This is a unique opportunity to transform city infrastructure. This is also an opportunity to make states easy for doing business, for carrying out reforms to improve investment climate. This is an opportunity to do seamless planning and logistics for the event, to showcase the state's culture and heritage, and to ensure Jan Bhagidari across G20 and to create very memorable cultural experiences and events through your state's folk and classical art forms. We are emphasizing local cuisine and millets. All gifts are leveraging one district, one product. And we are ensuring branding, and we are equipping all venues with good infrastructure, internet connectivity, etc. Our objective of doing this is that in different cities is that this G20 can be used to create the best city infrastructure. We can build a very big travel and tourism, leisure and wellness brand, because globally there's a huge travel and tourism leisure market of 440 lakh crore. India's share is very minimal at 2.5%. There's a very big global MICE market, meeting, incentives, convention and exhibition market of 52 lakh crore, where India's share is less than 1%. We can capitalize on the very large global handicraft industry, where there's a huge opportunity. This is also an opportunity for Maharashtra to turn itself into a global brand and showcase its world of local food and cuisine. We are combining G20 with a lot of other events, with the festivals of India, with Pravasi Bharatiya Divas. We are doing university outreach programs. We are lighting up monuments. We are linking them up with craft melas. We are doing several sand art beach cleaning. So many of the events are linked with International Kite Festival. Many of them are linked with International Sand Art Festival, with the Surajkund Mela, in Hornbill Festival, with the dance festival in Khajuraho. And our objective is that we create a very unique Indian experience, which is spiritually elevating, culturally enriching, mentally rejuvenating, and physically invigorating for every visitor, Over more than 1 lakh of people will come, more than 1 lakh. And our objective is that we create a very unique Indian experience. So this is an unparalleled opportunity for India and the world. The next decade is poised to be India's decade. There's a Morgan Stanley study which has just come out 3-4 days back, or probably 10, 15, 2 weeks back. The 4 global trends of demographics, digitalization, decarbonization, and deglobalization are all favoring New India. And therefore, New India is about digital transformation. It's about aligning with global value chain. It's about a young India where the median age will be 29, and about driving deep decarbonization through renewables, green hydrogen, etc. This is just the reverse process in many other parts of the world. So as the Prime Minister has said in Bali that our presidency would be inclusive, it'll be ambitious, it'll be action-oriented and decisive, and that is what we will try and do. The meeting being held in Mumbai is the Development Working Group meeting, where on the first day tomorrow we have some side event, and then we have 2 days of discussions. We will, the Development Working Group is the custodian of development agenda in G20. We will share India's human-centric SDG story. A lot of work has been done through DBT, through a range of schemes which I talked about. We will utilize the power of digital technology and data as key enablers, and what India has done in the field of digital technology, and how a program like Aspirational District Program was driven based on data. And we'll also talk about lifestyle for environment, which has been driven by the Honorable Prime Minister, on how behavioral change is critical. Our objective is to be the voice of the global South, and we will try and galvanize consensus for a Green Development Pact, which we'll work on. So our priorities are accelerating progress on achieving the SDG through collective actions here, lifestyle for environment, data for development. And here we'll display the cultural heritage, traditions, craft, dance forms, and cuisines of Maharashtra. We will showcase the traditional Maharashtrian dance performances, including modern cinematic heritage. We will introduce the famous street foods of Mumbai. There's a visit to the iconic Gateway of India and a tour of the old Mumbai. There's an excursion to the ancient Kanheri caves, and we'll be highlighting India's booming startup landscape here. So with these few words, I'll conclude here, and I'll be very happy with my colleagues to respond to any query, any question, any query that you may have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for the presentation. Now we could start with the questions. If you could raise your hand. Yes. Please introduce yourself.
Good afternoon.
From CNN News 18. I have 2 questions for you. You appreciated the Mumbai Municipal Corporation for facilitating all of this. G20 happens at a time when the air quality AQI of Mumbai is probably worse than Delhi's. What will be your expectation from the state government and the Mumbai Municipal Corporation in order to make sure that Mumbai is showcased well as an international destination? And secondly, there is a lot of controversy since yesterday as some escort vehicles which have been provided for the G20 event are actually from the Nirbhaya Fund, which is meant for women's protection. How do you see this controversy? Thank you.
So I would, first let me respond to your first question first. And the air quality issue was brought, actually the municipal commissioner had raised this issue regarding this, and a lot of this happening on account of the refinery chimneys. So I had taken it up with the Secretary Petroleum, who had held a meeting day before with all the refinery, and he had done an intensive review with 2 oil refineries in Mumbai and experts on the subject. And all refineries are connected to the CPCB central server online, indicating the values of SOx, NO2, PM 2.5 and CO, and data for all of them they have examined. The AQI within Mumbai refineries, according to him, while these modern refineries, they do not emit smoke, they do give out sulfur dioxide. And in the case of Mumbai refineries, SOx emissions are well within prescribed norms of 10.44 ppm. But for the next week, next 2-3 months, they will ensure that they will reduce in liquid sulfur as well as sulfur content in flue gases. But I think long-term measures are required, not just from the refinery, but in terms of keeping air quality of very high quality. Because of switching over to electric mobility, there's a need to keeping the city clean. There are many other challenges. Some of the challenges are in Delhi are very different from the challenges in Mumbai. One of the challenges is that the Deonar dumping ground is also near the refineries, and the burning there should be stopped. And I think we should find a better way for Tata Electric has 2 stacks, both south of Chembur on the backside of BARC, which should switch over to cleaner forms, and therefore several other long-term mitigation measures are required, which I think I will not like to comment on. My job is to do a good professional event here, and to see that the development working group meeting is held professionally, and that the city of Mumbai benefits from this. I do not know about the other. That's something which you should address. You should address the Maharashtra government. I don't want to comment on. You can ask me any question relating to the development working group, relating to G20, anything which is of G20 related. I'll be very happy to respond to it. Please do not involve me in any local issues, and I would not like to get involved in local controversies.
Yes, मेरा नाम समीर भी से है, मैं TV9 न्यूज़ चैनल से हूँ। मेरा सवाल यह है कि आपने थोड़ी देर पहले अपने प्रेजेंटेशन में कहा कि आप BMC की बहुत सारी चीज़ें जो म्यूनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन है उसको शोकेस करेंगे। सवाल यह है कि
नहीं, देखिए, मैंने ये कहा कि G20 के लिए उन्होंने मेहनत की है, जो आप लोग भी देख सकते हैं। अब मैं म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन के इश्यूज में मत मुझे घुसाइए कृपा करके। मैंने कहा मुझे आप लोग के जो लोकल इश्यूज हैं, लोकल म्युनिसिपल कमिश्नर और लोकल गवर्नमेंट से पूछिए। G20 और डेवलपमेंट वर्किंग ग्रुप यहाँ मीटिंग कर रहा है और वो उनकी मदद के साथ कर रहा है, तो उसके बारे में जो पूछना है पूछिए, मैं जवाब दूंगा पूरा। वो मेरी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है।
My question, 2 questions. One is on the priorities that you lined up. As far as the agenda is concerned, India has the chance to make the agenda, as you said. What would be some of the policy changes in the current setup on the geopolitical side, right, coming out of the pandemic, that would favor India, which would come out as a positive outcome from this presidency and the year? If you could throw some light on that. And the second one on globalization, you mentioned. With what's happening in Russia, the sanctions which have followed, we've sort of taken a step again towards closing of economies, having a self-consuming, self-producing economy. What difference do you look to make in our interest as well, in the country's interest, undoing that step back towards globalization?
So I think the first challenge before leadership of the world today, when 43 leaders of the world get together, according to me, is to address the challenge of the fact that vast number of people have gone below poverty line. Also, many people have lost job. 200 million people, 20 crore, 20 crore लोगों की गरीबी में, अत्यधिक गरीबी में चले गए। 10 करोड़ लोगों की नौकरियां चली गई हैं कोविड की वजह से। तो अगर हमें SDGs को इम्प्लीमेंट करना है, जिसका 2030 तक करना था, और ये साल उसका मिड टर्म ईयर है, मिड टर्म मतलब मध्यवर्ती साल है, तो आपको 2030 तक वो SDG गोल अचीव करने के लिए तो बहुत टारगेटेड अटेंशन चाहिए आपको। एजुकेशन, लर्निंग आउटकम, क्योंकि अगर स्कूल बंद रहे इतने दिन तो लर्निंग आउटकम इम्प्रूव करना है, हेल्थ आउटकम इम्प्रूव करना है, और वो करने के लिए आपको टेक्नोलॉजी को उपयोग करना पड़ेगा और टेक्नोलॉजी के साथ आपको लीपफ्रॉगिंग करनी पड़ेगी। तो भारत ने कई चीज़ों में दिखाया है कि टेक्नोलॉजी को उपयोग करके, जैसे मैंने बताया कि बैंक ऑफ इंटरनेशनल सेटलमेंट की स्टडी कहती है जो भारत 50 साल में जो करना था वो भारत ने 7-8 साल में कर दिया, क्योंकि उसने डिजिटल आइडेंटिटी दी। डिजिटल आइडेंटिटी के साथ उसने आपके साथ बैंक अकाउंट्स खोले, डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट ट्रांसफ़र हुआ, औरतों के 19% अकाउंट थे वो बढ़ के 56% हुए। आप बहुत ज़्यादा लोगों को आपने कोविड के समय आप सीधे पैसे पहुंचा सके क्योंकि बैंक अकाउंट से। इसी तरह फास्ट पेमेंट्स में मैं बताया कि 4,860 करोड़, जो कि 7 गुना है यूएसए, यूरोप, कनाडा के और 3 गुना है चाइना का। तो जब तक आप टेक्नोलॉजी को उपयोग करके नहीं बढ़ेंगे तो नहीं होगा। तो वो हमारा एक बहुत बड़ा एजेंडा है। दूसरा, और उसमें इंडिया का एक बहुत अनोखा एक मॉडल है जो कि बिग टेक मॉडल और यूरोप के मॉडल से अलग है। और हमारे विचार से अगर आपको बदलाव लाना है तो ये मॉडल को हमें बहुत आगे ले जाना पड़ेगा, तो उस पर काफ़ी चर्चा होगी। दूसरा मेरे विचार से कि एक इंडिया का जो नैरेटिव है कि जो इंडिया ने हेल्थ के क्षेत्र में किया है, इंश्योरेंस के साथ, कोविन के साथ, फार्मेसी ऑफ द वर्ल्ड और वैक्सीन कैपिटल ऑफ द वर्ल्ड, ये भी एक चर्चा का इश्यू बनेगा। तो सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल्स को कैसे आगे ले जाना है, ग्रोथ को कैसे ड्राइव करना है, वो जो कि इंक्लूसिव हो, रेजिलिएंट हो, सस्टेनेबल हो। तो चौथी चीज़ जो मैंने बताई कि मल्टीलैटरल इंस्टीट्यूशंस आज भी डायरेक्ट लेंडिंग करते हैं, वो क्लाइमेट फाइनेंस और सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल्स की ब्लेंडेड फाइनेंस नहीं करते, क्रेडिट इन्हांसमेंट नहीं करते और फर्स्ट लॉस गारंटीज नहीं करते। तो उनको कैसे रिस्ट्रक्चर करना है, ये सारी दुनिया के इश्यूज हैं जिस पे चर्चा होगी। और पांचवा इश्यू जो मैंने आपको बताया था कि 70 कंट्रीज, जो इंडिया अगर वॉइस ऑफ द साउथ बनती है, तो वॉइस ऑफ द साउथ अगर बनती है तो अगर 70 कंट्रीज की ग्लोबल डेट की एक चैलेंज है, ग्लोबल डेट का चैलेंज, उस इश्यू को की चर्चा होगी लगातार। और ये 215 मीटिंग्स में लगातार ये सारी इश्यूज आएंगी, चर्चा होंगी और उस पर हमें कंसेंसस पे लाके दुनिया में और इंडिया की लीडरशिप में हमको आगे बढ़ना होगा। ये
Sir, this is Sanjay from the Free Press Channel. In the initial remarks, you said that amidst this ongoing global recession and the economic slowdown, India continues to be a silver lining. So, while setting this agenda, what will be the priorities that India will look so that the global countries, the developed countries, because as you rightly said, this is for the first time, and India, which is an emerging or a developing country, is going to set the agenda. So my question is that how India will definitely come out with this kind of agenda that will be setting. And the second thing, again, you mentioned about the issue of climate change. I mean, you have been quite vocal on that, and the Prime Minister also has been taking a lot of initiative. In this round of talks, what will be the necessary inputs that can be shared, of course, across, so that India can again set the agenda on climate change?
नहीं, देखिए ये दोनों क्वेश्चन बहुत महत्वपूर्ण सवाल हैं और these are both very important questions. तो पहली तो चीज़ की let us start with the first question. तो देखिए जब भारत प्रेसिडेंसी लेगा तब ग्लोबल स्लो डाउन है जगह जगह और ये दुनिया पूरी उथल पुथल में है, पर हर चुनौती एक अवसर भी होता है। तो अगर every crisis is an opportunity, this is an opportunity for the world leaders. And what is leadership all about if you are not able to transform the world? That is why the Prime Minister has said, in his editorial he said, we believe in the oneness of all and that हम सबके साथ मिलके दुनिया को आगे ले चलेंगे। और इसीलिए उनका जो कहना है कि अगर इंक्लूसिव ग्रोथ होनी चाहिए, रेजिलिएंट ग्रोथ होनी चाहिए, सस्टेनेबल ग्रोथ होनी चाहिए, और ये ग्रोथ करने के लिए क्या करना है, उसके लिए कई चीजें करनी है। आपको इंस्टीट्यूशनल रीस्ट्रक्चरिंग करनी पड़ेगी मल्टीलैटरल इंस्टीट्यूशंस को, आपको क्लाइमेट एक्शन करना पड़ेगा, क्लाइमेट फाइनेंस जो उन्होंने कहा लाइफ के थ्रू, कि मतलब लाइफस्टाइल फॉर एनवायरनमेंट, क्योंकि 2009 में कोपेनहेगन में इन लोगों ने कहा था, डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज ने कहा था कि हम 100 बिलियन देंगे. डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज डू नॉट कंट्रीब्यूट टू द कार्बनाइजेशन. हमारा जो शेयर है, आप 1.5 डिग्री पर देखिएगा तो 2004 गीगाटन में 2400 गीगाटन कार्बन स्पेस अवेलेबल है. उसमें इंडिया का शेयर इज ओनली 1.5%. आप पर कैपिटा इनकम देखिएगा तो हमारा शेयर होना चाहिए 17.5%. बट हमने कार्बन स्पेस नहीं ऑक्युपाई की है. पर हम अगर वही रास्ते से चलते रहे तो हम, प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने पंच अमृत अनाउंस किया, जो उन्होंने COP21 में अनाउंस किया था NDC टारगेट्स, हमने 9 साल पहले पूरे किए. रिन्यूएबल में हम बहुत बड़ा रेवोल्यूशन लाए हैं. अब हम ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन के लिए मेहनत कर रहे हैं, साइज एंड स्केल ला रहे हैं ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन. और मेरे विचार से ये भारत क्लाइमेटिकली ब्लेस्ड है. हम साइज एंड स्केल ला सकते हैं अपनी पॉपुलेशन की वजह से, और वी कैन ट्रांसफॉर्म एंड बिकम द ग्लोबल लीडर, द ग्लोबल प्रोड्यूसर, the global exporter, the global manufacturer of electrolyzer, and become the global champion of green hydrogen. So there's a huge opportunity. But for that to happen, multilateral institutions must also finance our entrepreneurs. So that is, many of those issues will be discussed during this period. Yes, yes.
You have Asian Development Bank and all. What specific points of action that you feel are necessary for changing their current ways of working as well as their agendas, which will address?
So there are some issues like World Bank, IMF, maybe will be discussed in the finance track. There are many other institutions. There is the United Nations, there's the World Trade Organization, there's the World Health Organization. All these will be discussed here. But the basic challenge is that many of these institutions, at least on the lending side, they all do direct lending. They don't do lending which is based on first loss guarantee or credit enhancement or blended finance. So US Treasury Secretary has said that very strongly, that these institutions must be restructured for that. And she's asked World Bank and IMF to see how more guarantees can be given to advocate that. Some of those issues will be discussed in the finance track. On the Sherpa track, there'll be issues of WHO, there'll be issues of WTO, there'll be issues of UN. Many of those issues will come in for discussion. And those will be subject to a lot of debate and discussion on how they become institutions for the global south and for the developing world. Because they were designed for another era. They were designed for post-Bretton Woods period, for the post-World War II. The world has changed. The challenges today are the challenges of climate, the challenge of SDG, the climate of developing south. So all these issues we'll have to discuss. Thank you.
Good evening, sir. My name is Subramanian from Forever News. You have explained that Sherpa and the corruption will be eradicated or it will be minimized with this.
I have not said that. No. I have merely said that there's an anti-corruption group, which is driven by the Department of Personnel. There are 11 engagement groups. Anti-corruption group has many other issues also which are discussed in there.
So how does the specific Sherpa will be performing in it? What's the specific role?
So first of all, let me just clarify what is the role of the Sherpa. The Sherpa is like a envoy to the leader. Every country has a Sherpa. Now the Sherpa is supposed to work for the leader to enable him, he's supposed to assist him to enable him to reach the Mount Everest. तो शेरपा क्या करता है? उनका सामान ढोता है कि नहीं ढोता? वो ढो के माउंट एवरेस्ट तक पहुंचाता है उनको. तो मेरा काम है कि मैं फाइनेंस ट्रैक का ले लूं, एंगेजमेंट ग्रुप का ले लूं, जितनी सारे इश्यूज पर कंसेंसस, सारे शेरपाज मिलके कंसेंसस बनाएं और सारे लीडर्स को मिलकर माउंट एवरेस्ट तक पहुंचाएं. ये काम है.
Hi, sir.
तो जितने वर्किंग ग्रुप्स होंगे उनके रिकमेंडेशंस लेंगे, इंगेजमेंट ग्रुप के लेंगे, फाइनेंस ग्रुप के लेंगे, सबको लेकर हम एक लीडर्स कम्युनिके बनाते हैं जो बाली में हमने किया। और बाली में बड़ी चैलेंजेस थे क्योंकि साल भर सेटलमेंट नहीं हुआ था, एग्रीमेंट नहीं हुआ था, सारी मीटिंग्स फेल हो गई। इंडिया ने वो उस पर बड़ी मेहनत करके डेवलपिंग वर्ल्ड के साथ मिलके, इंडिया, ब्राज़ील, मेक्सिको, अर्जेंटीना, सऊदी अरेबिया, Singapore all worked together to enable an agreement in Bali, and India took the leadership of the developing world in that.
Yeah, this will be the last question, not right now, you're behind. Yeah.
Hi, sir. My name is Ankur Mishra. I'm representing ET now. My question is regarding the meeting which is going to be held in Bengaluru, the finance track. What are the top priorities there, and also specifically on green financing, where in India also voluntarily many of the banks have taken the initiative on that. How to bridge the gap so that a common platform is there?
Yeah. So many of our issues in national priorities converge with the finance track. Many of those issues like multilateral financial institutions, global debt, issues are the same: climate finance, SDGs, how to accelerate the pace of financing for SDGs. Many of those issues converge and integrate across finance track, which is also meeting in Bangalore, incidentally. That meeting will be held in the next 2-3 days in Bangalore. The development working group meeting is being held here. And there are several other engagement groups which will meet. All of them will converge and integrate towards India's national priorities.
Is it not a bit better to have finance track in the financial capital of the country rather than in Bangalore?
नहीं, वो यहाँ कई जगह उनकी भी 4 मीटिंग्स होंगी, तो हर शहर को भी तो कवर करना जरूरी है. सारी मीटिंग मुंबई में कर देंगे तो बाकी लोग भी क्रिटिसाइज करेंगे. हाँ, तो हम तो नॉर्थ ईस्ट में सब जगह मीटिंग कर रहे हैं.
Thank you, sir, for this detailed interaction with our media friends. And I request all our friends from the media in Mumbai to make the best of the meetings which are being held here. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Please register and please attend the meetings that will be held in Geo Center tomorrow.
Thank you very much to all of you for joining us today. Great.